Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to yet another episode 25, The House of Moody Vintage. Dun, 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 dun. All right. Anyways, I don't want to get copyrighted. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You know what this episode's about. It's all about House of the Dragon, Game of Thrones new series. It's out, the prequel from 200 years ago. No, it's not. The whole episode is not about that, but I will save the review. I'm reviewing the first episode, the season premiere of the House of Dragons, the House of the Dragon. And I'm excited, man. It's just so okay. I don't want to get into that. I want to jump in. I want to save the excitement for later. The second half of the episode today. Again, very special episode. It's episode 25. We're a quarter century. All right, we've made it. I say we, but it's just me. I know it's just me. We as in the listeners, which of course I am incredibly grateful and just really appreciate everyone listening in or watching it on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, you're subscribed. If you're listening to Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please do like the podcast and subscribe to it so you don't miss an episode of me blabbering all the times. So man, it's start to a regular week, but I mean, well, it wasn't not really a regular week. There was plenty of fun to be had, because beginning the new Game of Thrones series, the House of the Dragon, but also it's like nearing the end of August, so there's some kind of excitement towards it. I don't know why. It's weird because it's like sort of like the end of summer, right? Traditionally, it's like the end of summer, and we're transitioning into a new season, and it's the fall season, and a lot of things happen during the fall, right? All the way through the holidays, right? Christmas and New Year's and so on, which is also a very festive part of the year, which is of course the end of the year. There's just some kind of excitement, I guess. It's like it's a new season. Every day is technically it's a fresh new start to do something, to approach something. But the air changes, the atmosphere changes. There's so many different types of content to consume over the next few months. Whether it be in theaters or on television or whatever. And music, of course, is music. There's always something new dropping every week. So entertainment wise, it's like it's a really good experience. And I think I don't know. I guess everyone is sort of out of that summer lull, or I don't want to say idleness, but it's sort of in that that state of mind where okay, now it's back to work. Let's be productive. Let's just create. There's more creations and more celebration of that creation as the seasons change, as we quote unquote get back to business. A lot of companies or people coming back from their summer vacations and things like that. So, it's a tail end. Usually I'd have a problem, but I've been working all fucking year, so I don't really have a break. I mean, there were, of course, long weekends, which is, of course, very much appreciated and incredibly grateful for. I don't take those for granted at all. Very appreciative of those. Looking forward to those. Looking forward to the holidays. That's for damn sure. That break is very, very much, required to balance out your sanity and hopefully have a positive spin towards the coming year, the new year. Damn, 2023 is not too far away, ladies and gentlemen. So anyways, I've had a weird, I just wanted to touch on this because it's like I've had this weird, I don't want to say sleeping, my sleeping schedule, I try to keep it as strict as possible, knowing that I have so much work to do the following day, all the way up to the weekend. And sometimes I actually do have work on the weekends now as my workload has, increased. But my sleeping quality hasn't really, but like I don't think I've complained about my sleep quite a while. And it's just weird because the hours are so off. It's so weird. But I'm not complaining about it. I'm just going with the flow. It just strangely feels okay and it feels normal. I don't know. So I'm not complaining. But, there's a lot of waking hours right throughout the day that I kind of have to like pump the brakes, during the day when it comes to workloads. And I think it's important for everyone to do that, taking breaks, here and there throughout the day because of the, your work schedule or maybe the workload, and trying to sort of meet so many, responsibilities, and whether it's work-wise or your personal life, it's a tough balance. And I'm just, I'm also appreciative in thinking that these are the times where I don't actually mind being single, because I have a lot of friends who are not, and it is they're just juggling everything, right? And I have a friend who lives abroad, and she was just telling me about a certain situation, a certain a certain encounter with someone that she knows. It's a guy, and she's single, so she's very much she has the right to like sort of try to meet new people and try to connect with somebody new, especially for someone who's single, who is used to like being in a relationship. And so she goes, spends time with these folks, right? And sometimes it's not even about, it's just about having a companion. And it's weird. It's sort of like this, what happened was in a span of maybe a couple of days where I had two very very close human beings in my life, who I love so much and care for, who both happen to be female. Both women had sort of a similar kind of, not necessarily a dilemma, but a conflict within themselves, because, one who I just mentioned, she had a very unfortunate encounter with someone who she saw as just a friend, right? And my other friend, who went to the club, with her friends, had a really good time. As we usually go, we get lit right before we go to the club, and we get even litter. It's exponentially higher when we get to the club. So, and she just, at one point, she just fell out of it. And she was just telling me on the phone, and we were on the phone, and she was just like, yeah, I just fucking turned off. I just wanted to go home. And I connect with her. Her and I are, we have a lot in common, and we're in sync. We're almost like on the same page almost every time, nearly every time we're on the same page. So I totally related to her. I totally got her, because, there have been times like that where you feel like you're in a completely different world. You're at the club, you're dancing, you might be drunk or high or whatever. And you're just zoned out, but you're enjoying the moment. It's just like, for example, when me and my friends go, we're in front of the DJ, we're just dancing, we're, enjoying the music, and we just zone out. Cause that experience right there is just it's totally different, and it's such a good feeling, it's not harmful at all, but it's just a good feeling until an element comes by, just sort of takes you by surprise, and it just hits you, like blindsides you, and you're just like, what the fuck, dude? That took me out. And so something had happened to her. Nothing inappropriate, but something that she was uncomfortable with, which is enough of a reason for you to like, get out of that zone, to get out of that flow, or that really good feeling that you were having when you were just enjoying yourself, and then something comes along and just fucking ruins it, and you're just like, dude, what the fuck? Why'd you have to do? You know what I mean? Like, what a buzzkill, right? And then your initial reaction is just like, I'm leaving. Fuck this, and that's what happened to her. And again, I just looked back at it, and I was just like, it surprised me, because both situations with both of my friends were quite similar, because they, one went to on a trip on the countryside. They were basically stargazing and things like that. And she just thought she was going with a friend, just hanging out with a friend, like as you would, right? Same thing with my friend who went to the club, went there with their friends, as you would. But and as and my friend that I was talking to on the phone with, the one that went stargazing, right? I to me, as she was telling me this, I just got so frustrated. I got so annoyed. I'm sitting there like, bruh, like, dude, like men out there, okay? And this is especially like young men. I know I could understand some causes of it, certain things that may cause that type of effect. But at the same time, I really want to call you motherfuckers out. Like, yeah, and you got to learn. You have to learn. I don't care how old you are. You have to learn. Guys, why can't y'all just be friends with females? Why? Why is that so hard? Why is that a hard concept for you to just be friends with girls, bro? Why? What? I don't, and I've said so many times in my past relationships about how my girlfriends would have issues because majority of my friends in my life are female, and that got me in trouble. But I can do that. Like, I know how to be friends with who, regardless of the gender, just be friends, right? But so my friend who was stargazing, she, was doing her thing, enjoying the moment, and then homeboy killed it by basically making a move on her, basically, right? Even after signs after signs after signs, after red flags, after blatantly, my friend telling him, bruh, we just friends. There is we're not going past this line. It's not happening. I will not have it, right? I mean, she said it in a very nice way. It wasn't, I told her to be a little bit more firm and stern when it comes to that, be assertive and be like, bruh, I don't like you like that. If you can't be friends with me, this can't happen. Like, that's what needs to happen. And I reprimanded her with that. But even then, it's like, you can't be that daft. You can't be that, like, oh my God, like, are you, you can't be that, I don't know, blinded because you're so, like, I don't know why you have this hope, of this candle flickering of actually something happening between you two, when she has made it very clear, homeboy, we just friends. Why can't y'all just be friends, man? Look at me. I am friends with so many girls, which people have a problem with, but I'm not trying to get into nobody's pants. There's no hidden agenda. It is just strictly like just, platonic. Some females are like family, some females in my life are family to me, even if they're not blood related, or actual relatives. They're just, and I can appreciate them for who they are. I can tell someone, you're beautiful and, or you look sexy or you look amazing, this and that, without trying to get into their fucking pants, dude. Cause it's not like, I'm not trying to do that, because that boundary has already been set and there is no like glimmer of hope, light at the end of the tunnel. Nah, my guy, and the whole people who don't subscribe to the, guys and girls can't be friends. Shut the fuck up. No, motherfucker, you can't be friends. You can't be friends with that girl who does not want anything out of that dynamic besides being a friend. Friendship. That's all she wants, is a friend, is a companion. Just a companion, no, with no romantic ties or intimacy, just a companion, a partner to fucking hang out with, to chill. Is that so hard for you? Huh? Is this so hard for you? What's it so hard? Maybe because the girl is so attractive, like she's so gorgeous and beautiful and sexy. And I get that. I totally get that. I totally understand that. It's also very understandable if a girl is giving you mixed signals. Also totally understandable, because, it's one thing to be like, I want to spend so much time with you, and all of a sudden girl wants to cuddle and shit. Like, she wants to do like relationship things, but doesn't want a relationship, And this excludes sex. No, intercourse, none of that stuff. But exclusive. But everything else in a relationship. And homeboy's like, well, I don't get. Do you like want this or like what's going on? That I get. But when you have constant reasons, like constant warnings of the girl telling you, guy, and then no, I am not interested. Oh my God, don't you fucking talk to me, okay? Like, I hopefully it doesn't get to that point. But if it does, it should. Like, you should. And, I don't know why it's so hard for guys to just fucking be friends, dude. Come on, man. Anyways, sorry, I told my friend on the phone, I was talking, she was like, can you please bring this up on your podcast? Talk about this. And I did. Okay. So for guys out there, especially young men, because I know a lot of you are still sort of misguided, ill-advised, just don't do it. Just don't, communication is freaking key. You know what I mean? So if you're interested in a girl, okay, let her know that you like her, that, you want to get to know her, blah, 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 this and that. But if she just straight up tells you, bro, I'm not emotionally available, or I don't want a relationship, or I'm not attracted to you like that, get the fucking clue, bro. Get the hint. It's done. Move on. There are so many other women that you will find attractive that you apparently can't be fucking friends with, that you can holler at. See if you can get a relationship with that person. If she says no, then move on to the next. It's not the end of the world. Look, I get it. There's incredibly attractive women out there. And when I mean attractive, I just don't mean the physical aspects, but, personality-wise, so on. And I get that. You're sort of, it's magnetizing sometimes. It's hypnotizing. And you're sort of, you got your blinders on, and you can't tell. But homeboy, man, if the girl is telling you no, it's a no. Just be friends, dude. And if you can't be friends with her, can't be like, oh, you know what? I can't continue to do this. And I've done this myself where I've had feelings for a girl and I straight up told her, and it's happened more than once. I've straight up told him, like, listen, we can't be friends anymore because I have feelings for you. So it's just going to be weird. Like, the dynamic is just weird. And I know on your end, it's like, you're telling me, no, I just want to I want to be friends. I love you as a friend. I want you. She's not just saying that just to, like, soften the blow, but she was just, she would say that in the sense that I really fucking appreciate your presence in my life. Like, I want that presence in my life, but as a friend, and we talked it out like two adults, like mature adults, like, well, I respect that. I totally respect that. But to me, I still have feelings for you. So, we can't do the usual regular friend stuff because that my emotions will get in the way and I don't want to fuck that up. I don't want to mess the sort of the mutual respect and love and care that we have for each other. But, I want to pursue something romantic, but that's not there because clearly you're not reciprocating. You don't feel the same way. I totally understand. And I still respect you. That's never been an issue. That's never been a problem. And I'll respect your decision. And, we'll just move on. And when things have subsided and I'm sort of over that thing, then, maybe we can be friends again. And that has happened. And we're just mature about it. We're fucking adults about it. It's good. You can do that. But dude, just get the fucking hint. Like, get the clue, my guy. And move on. And moving on, ladies and gentlemen, now we're going to get down to the nitty gritty. We'll go back to Westeros. Yeah. Sorry, I got excited. Just feeding off the energy of like putting some dudes on blast who, don't know how to be a friend. Just be a good friend. It's not that bad. You know who's got good friends and not so good friends? The folks at Westeros. So, ladies and gentlemen, so we're back with the House of the Dragon. It's been like, I think I read a quote from George R.R. Martin, who of course is the creator of this world and of the Song of Ice and Fire up until 5 books. He still hasn't finished the other 2 books that he needs to finish, that he's been telling us, the fans, the readers, that that'll be completed for the past 10 fucking years, and nothing has been completed. What did he do? He wrote the book Fire and Blood, which is, of course, the source material for House of the Dragon. Thanks, Martin. You piece of shit. No, I'm just kidding. us fans of Song and Ice and Fire who read the books and who have appreciated the shows as well, we have a love-hate relationship with this guy because it's like, we get it, the series is over, but my guy, okay, he doesn't owe anybody anything, but I'm obviously joking when I say this, but you owe us 2 more books, my guy. 2 fucking books, okay? 2 books are left in the goddamn Song of Ice and Fire. You need to close up the goddamn saga. And now, Kit Harington is doing a show on Jon Snow. On what after what happened in Game of Thrones. It's post game. It's post game journeys. You know what I mean? Pre-game, post game, during the game. So anyway, House of the Dragon is out. The premiere episode Sunday. Obviously, the streaming platform crashed for a lot of people. Understandably, it also shattered the I guess the highest rating. Highest rating or the most views? I should say. Sorry, the most views. I don't know about highest rating. It could be up there. I wouldn't say the highest, but the most viewed premiere than any other show in HBO history, which is understandable, and I get it. So let's get down to that. Here we are, House of the Dragon. This, of course, takes place 200 years before the Game of Thrones, the events of Game of Thrones, before Robert's Rebellion. And it's basically the story of House Targaryen. That's where Daenerys Targaryen is from. That's what... Wait, if I say this... Okay, you know what? The show's been out for forever, so you guys should already know that Jon Snow is half Targaryen and half Stark. And this is basically about the Targaryen bloodline and, of course, other houses, prominent houses of the time. We sort of get a little bits and pieces of other houses, and I'm pretty sure we're going to get more of it as the weeks go on, and we see, the new episodes. We'll see more of the houses playing a significant role, maybe a significant role in the story or not. The show is obviously based on the book Fire and Blood, which is it's not a story like the Game of Thrones, right? Of the Song of Ice and Fire, the 5 books. This is a book that was written like a history book, literally, it reads as a history book. And it is the history of the Targaryens, right? And so in this story it's all about King Viserys Targaryen and Princess Rhaenyra, King Viserys' brother Prince Daemon Targaryen, who of course is played by Matt Smith. Matt Smith is obviously he steals the show, obviously, because it's Matt Smith. Which is hello, duh, right? And there's so many other familiar faces. Understandable. You need some familiar faces to fulfill these roles, and maybe a couple. Yeah, well, I mean, plenty of new faces as well. When it comes to Game of Thrones, the casting has always been fantastic. Every season, right? Since when we were watching Game of Thrones before, every season when we were introduced to a new character. They casted him just fucking perfectly. And that's coming from me, and I'm pretty sure you'll hear it from people, other people who have read the books. We've read the books and we see these characters come to life and we're like, oh shit, yes, this actor is meant to play this role. Just spot on. And of course, there are certain, maybe subtle differences or maybe even drastic differences from one to another. And from the story and live action, which makes sense. You can't really sort of adapt the entire detail by detail into a live action. Just like, for example, the throne of Game of Thrones in King's Landing, the throne of all those swords melted, of course, of the Iron Throne, is so much just it's menacing, it's towering, which you see in the first episode of House of the Dragon. A lot of fans have already said this. It's much closer. The depiction of the Iron Throne is much closer to what the books, how it is in the books. It's still not as as grand and freaking menacing and just frightening as fuck in the books. But it's pretty damn close. The Iron Throne is pretty damn close to the depiction in which we see here in House of the Dragon. But anyways, so with that sort of background, I'm pretty sure you guys have already seen the episode, but this is my initial thoughts on it. I freaking loved it. I freaking loved it. It's not like, blow your mind type of episode, which that's okay because it doesn't need to be. It's a premiere episode. It's basically, place setting, developing the background, the intros, and getting you familiar. But not only getting you familiar with the story, of the setting, of the time, it's Westeros. So obviously they're treating this as, well, Game of Thrones viewers who, all the millions and millions of people all over the world who have watched Game of Thrones are coming back to Westeros. And then so what they did was, I think, just a wonderful way of welcoming people back. And it just felt, and it's something that, movie pundit John Campea said, it felt like coming back home, like you were coming back home. Even though it's been a few years since we saw the final season of Game of Thrones, it feels so great to come back. It's similar yet different. It's different because the time has changed. It's 200 years ago, and also different factions, different houses have taken prominence. It's sort of their height of their power at the time for the Targaryens. We get introduced more to the Hightowers, who are a very ancient family, who were in Westeros before the Targaryens even arrived, and so on and so on. But I think they did a great job. The writing is so good. It's just fantastic. And again, of something I've mentioned before, that Martin is, of course, he was highly involved in the process of creating this series, House of the Dragon. So it's not a surprise that it was written so well, that it's written so well, that it's the performances, like I said, Matt Smith just freaking kills it. He steals it, but that doesn't take away from the other actors who have been introduced and other actors that we're obviously familiar with, just like Paddy Considine. Is it Considine or Considine? I always mix up Paddy Considine's last name wrong. I'm sorry. I apologize. These people we know what we're gonna get from them. They're fantastic actors. They're gonna put on a goddamn great performance. But it was so great, and the biggest difference I could say to you right now from this episode was the cinematic quality of the first episode. The scope is fantastic. It's huge. It's great, which of course we didn't get to see in the first season of Game of Thrones, which is understandable because the budget was not the same, right? Budget was not the same. The technology obviously has, accelerated. It's changed over time. So that's why when you see the renditions of the CGI for the dragons, they look so much better, right? There's a huge, significant improvement there, which is, again, it's a given. We should sort of expect that, right? So wasn't disappointed there. There wasn't that much to be disappointed in, honestly. And yes, there was nudity. Yes, there was sex, but it wasn't thrown in your face. A grotesque amount, which is something we saw earlier in Game of Thrones, which, I understand. It's not so far from the source material in the books, but again, this is a depiction of, a medieval time. Yes, it's high fantasy, but it's still, it's based on the realistic histories and events of real life in Europe. And so you have to, you shouldn't be surprised by now. I do understand that there are new viewers to this show, and I've already heard about all this woke shit and stuff, and it's just like, come on, dude. This is how it was back then. This is the way our ancestors freaking lived, where women didn't have that much choice. That doesn't make it right. It's absolutely wrong. But didn't have, so these kind of things, these kind of elements. So to all the new viewers out there, please understand, George R.R. Martin created this world, right? He created this fictional high fantasy world. And his inspiration was from, you know, centuries and centuries of conflict, of warring families, of wars, and, you know, famine, and a time of magic, you know, which of course magic isn't real, but you know what I mean. You get what I'm saying? These are inspired by true events. You know, War of the Roses. You know, rivaling families in England, in the United Kingdom. Well, it wasn't the United Kingdom at the time, but, you know, yeah, all over Europe, and so on and so on. It's just pages out of a history book created into this wonderful fantasy world, high fantasy world. And there's political intrigue and freaking murder and gore and action and sex and very uncomfortable moments. These are things that people dealt with back in the day, and these are some of these things are people still deal with today. So, you know, it's very relevant. So, but just keep it's a work of fiction, okay? It's inspired by freaking centuries ago. For the most part, that's not how the world is now. For the most part, there are other fucked up things, even probably some would say even more fucked up things in the world. But we're working in this fictional world. We're in Westeros. That's where we are. Let's focus there, right? House of the Dragon. Anyways, so we saw plenty. We saw a good amount of dragons, I guess, in the beginning as well, and even now, even more. So we're gonna see a lot more dragons. You're gonna see a lot more dragons in the weeks to come and in the new episodes. So very excited there. And so basically, what the plan is we're, of course, it's by their traditional standard. We're gonna see 10 episodes. So I think in the maybe halfway through, maybe episode 5, maybe 6, it's probably episode 5, I think, where they will switch things up. They'll do a time jump. So you will see the older versions of these characters of, you know, Princess Rhaenyra and Prince Daemon, and as they get older and the characters are much older. And of course, Alicent Hightower, played by Emily Carey. It revolves. Yes, it is about the Targaryens, but it revolves around you know, Alicent Hightower, because she sort of represents the green side. So basically, the warring sides here is within the Targaryen family. There's the black side and there's the green side, and you'll see what all that means. And Alicent Hightower is with the green gang, okay, and Princess Rhaenyra is on the black side. So that's where the civil war sort of begins between those two. And I don't want to spoil anything for you guys, because, you know, I know the story. I've read the pages, and I know what happens. But I just like the book, just like in Game of Thrones, you know, even though I knew what was going to happen, it's just incredibly impressive to read what you read. Like, for example, when I was reading The Red Wedding, okay, everyone was fucking shocked, right? Everyone lost their goddamn minds in that episode. I read The Red Wedding. If you read it, it's more excruciating, right? Because you're reading it. But then to see it on screen, I was like, fuck. They did such a damn... I know what's going to happen. I know what's happening. I know the end result of what's going, you know, in this setting, in this scene, right? Or this sequence, or this episode, or whatever. I know what's going to happen. But even then, they delivered it so damn well. And if the first episode of House of the Dragon, which I think is how it should be one of the standards of making a premiere episode of a series or a season. This is how you do it, right? But I hope that sets the tone for the rest of the episodes, right? And I personally think it's only going to get better, because, like I said, the cinematic experience is the quality of the production and the actual, you know, direction and the performance and all that stuff. It's great. The characters, for the time being, may not stick with you like they did for Game of Thrones, which is understandable. But I think as the episodes go on, you're going to get more invested into these characters, because George R.R. Martin is so fucking good at doing that, sucking you in when it comes to the characters, especially when you're reading it. So I don't think this is going to be an exception, you know. Again, you may not, you know, be huge fans of it as we were with, let's say, Jon Snow or Daenerys, or, Littlefinger, right? Or these incredible presence in the stories like Tywin Lannister, and bigger than life sort of characters, or being introduced to Oberyn Martell, who is one of my favorite characters. Oh God, I can talk about this all day. I love the house of House Martell. The Dornish are like probably my favorite, next to the Starks. And I hope we fucking see more Dornish characters come into the series, because there will be certain differences here and there from the book to the show. But yeah, looking forward to that. So yeah, man, I freaking loved it. I freaking loved the first episode. This is how you're supposed to, in my opinion, how you pull off a really good, premiere series, a premiere episode for a new series. And I did a wonderful job bringing us back into Westeros, and it's a different time, different setting. We get that. There's a lot of references to the, A Song of Ice and Fire, the Long Night, or the Long Winter, and so on and so on. That sort of came to being in Game of Thrones, and so there's a lot of references to that. But I don't think it was ever over your head with it. There are some like really freaking gory ass scenes, sort of very Romanesque in the Colosseum scenes in here. I'm sure you pretty much know what I'm talking about there when it comes to that. And there was a C-section, which was pretty out there. It was out there. I hope no one has issues with that. The showrunners actually did it in a test audience, and they asked women if it was too much, and they were like, no, I guess they were cool with it. So I hope no one has a problem with that, or I hope somehow it's not triggering. But then again, this is Westeros, and we're talking about Game of Thrones here, we're talking about House of Dragons here. You're going to get this sort of very raw, in your face type of content. So please don't be scared, okay? Please don't be afraid. Anyways, so yeah, those are my thoughts on the first episode. Can't wait for next week. I love that as much as I love binging shows on Netflix and things like that. There's certain type of content where, dude, the weekly thing, man. It's like, the water cooler conversations, things to talk about on a podcast or, in a video or whatever, like I'm doing right now. I really want to have a discussion, like maybe like a post show discussion or something with another speaker, guest. I don't know. The timing is just, it's just so messed up. I wish I had more time to where I can sort of accommodate that, but I don't know. It's a possibility. It's not impossible. So I want to get, hopefully be able to do that. And, I'm just excited to see what comes next week. I saw the trailer, so very excited to see what happens next. In the House of the Dragon, episode 2 in their first season. This was episode 25 of this first season, the House of Moody Vintage, covering House of the Dragon. It's obviously not as grand as the HBO show, but I do enjoy doing this podcast. And again, thank you for listening, guys. Appreciate it. So we'll do it for me here. Again, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever, just subscribe and follow there, or on YouTube. If you haven't subscribe and follow there, and like it and share it. Share the little bits. I've gotten really good feedback from the reels that I've been sharing, which are bits and pieces and clips from the video version of the podcast. And I share it on my Instagram, and I always get like pretty cool feedback, and you guys are enjoying it. So, I like that you guys are enjoying it. It makes me happy. So thank you very much. So until next time, until many more probably incest, sex, and nudity, and blood, and gore, and in the kingdom of Westeros, the United Kingdoms of Westeros. Well, minus Dorne, because they are the unbent, unbowed, and wow, I totally forgot their motto. I'll come back to you on that next week. How about that? Okay. My apologies, House Martell. I love you guys still, though. I am your bannerman. I'm your bannerman. See y'all next week. Take care of yourselves. I'm out this piece. Oh wait, peace. There you go.